Every single word of what follows is documented by court documents, newspaper articles, and research papers, all of which are readily available on the internet. In my previous video on narCONon, I explained how L. Ron Hubbard used his criminal guardian's office to create narCONon, which was accomplished in August of the year 1972. The same people who created narCONon for Hubbard were later sent to federal prison after being indicted for an astonishing number of crimes, the number and diversity of which astonished federal prosecutors. Some of those crimes were extortion, burglary, witness intimidation, kidnapping, espionage against the United States government, perjury, and the destruction of evidence, which led the grand jury to conclude that the Scientology organization itself is fundamentally a criminal one. The sinister Scientology Corporation claims their narCONon business is vastly more effective than the best legitimate drug interdiction program, a claim that is against the law in the United Kingdom because it is known to be a lie. The organization is criminal, yes, but is narCONon safe? Does narCONon actually get people off drugs? The Oklahoma State Board of Mental Health surveyed the Scientology Corporation's narCONon business when the Scientology Corporation asked the state for medical certification to run their business. The Board of Certification concluded in part that narCONon is dangerous and does not work. To quote the board's conclusion in part, "There is no credible evidence establishing the safety of the narCONon program to its patients. There is no credible evidence establishing the effectiveness of the narCONon program to its patients. The board concludes there is a substantial credible evidence, as found by the board, that the narCONon program is unsafe and ineffective. The board concludes that the program offered by narCONon Shilaco is not medically safe," unquote. A survey of narCONon so-called graduates performed in Sweden in the year 1981 shows that of the 61 drug abusers who entered the program, only 14 completed the program. Of those 14 people, 13 were asked a year later if they had remained drug-free. 4 said yes. 2 said they did not know, and 7 said no. The so-called success rate of narCONon, if one can be generous, can therefore be said to be 6.6% approximately, which is less than no drug addiction at all, which is about 10%. Michigan Corrections Department psychologist John Hand called narCONon, quote, "so misleading as to be termed a con," unquote. Hand also said, quote, "they are phony, a front for the Church of Scientology. We found out in Michigan that most of the money that we were paying narCONon was laundered back into the Church of Scientology," unquote. The 1980 prison study concluded that prisoners subjected to the narCONon scam did worse than the prisoners not subjected to narCONon. When the Scientology Corporation sought tax rebates in Stuttgart, Germany for their narCONon scam, they were unable to provide any evidence to support their claims of efficiency. The Stuttgart Administration Appeals Court stated, quote, "the papers filed by the petitioners offer no evidence of a successful drug withdrawal at the petitioner," unquote. Writing about narCONon, Dr. James J. Kennedy of the National Council Against Health Fraud wrote, in part, "large doses of niacin are hepatotoxic and can cause serious liver damage. It may also trigger gout, raise blood sugar into diabetic range, cause itching, flushing, and a rash. Nausea and gastritis are also side effects of large doses of niacin. To subject people to these potential serious side effects on the pretense that they are being detoxified, cleared, or purified is quackery," unquote. Research Director at Central Michigan University, Dr. Doug Spathhealth, and Research Director at Wayne State University, Dr. Daniel Gaff, both concluded that narCONon is too dangerous to be studied using human subjects. In my next video about narCONon, I shall expose the Scientology crime syndicate's attempt to hide the fact that narCONon is Scientology, was created by Scientology, and is owned and run by Scientology.